Hello, myself Varsha Jade, and today we will see the spontaneous process. So, spontaneous process. So, what is spontaneous process basically? So, it is a process or the reaction which is start by itself only. So, these start by itself only. So, we don't need to provide the extra energy to start them. So, no extra energy is required. So to check the spontaneity of the reactions, we take enthalpy. So it is considered that when the reaction is exothermic means when delta H is negative means reaction is exothermic. So what is exothermic reaction? So it is a reaction in which the energies are released during the reactions or heat is released during the reactions. So let's take one example. Let's C plus O2, CO2. In this reaction, the heat is released. So it is considered as a spontaneous reactions. But there are certain drawbacks also, which is not exothermic, but it is also still spontaneous reactions, like drawback, melting of ice. So have you already seen the melting of ice is a spontaneous process? When we kept the ice in the free environment, so when we don't provide a cool environment, so the ice start melting. So it is basically endothermic process. Endothermic process. So in this, ice is taking heat from the outside and they start melting. So they are endothermic process, but it is still a spontaneous reactions. So this theory is not 100% true. And the second theory is entropy. So what is entropy? Entropy is basically randomness in the system. So it is considered that when the randomness in the system is increasing, it means that is a spontaneous reaction. Means it is represented as S, and when randomness is increasing, means this becomes spontaneous. But there are certain reactions in which the randomness is decreasing, but it is still a spontaneous reactions. So that this theory is also not 100% true to check the spontaneity of the reaction. Then we take gives free energy. So this theory is 100% true to check the spontaneity of the reactions. So it is given by the one formula is like, so this is a formula. In this, G is representing the gives free energy, H is our enthalpy, T is temperature, and S is entropy. Okay. So let's see some basic properties of this. So it is state function. So what is state function? So state function means that G is only depend upon the final stage and the initial stage of the reactions, not on the path which it is taking. So this and this is an extensive property. And when we take the cyclic process, it means when reaction start from somewhere and came back to that place only. So in this reaction, delta G is 0 because it's a state function. So initial and the final state is same. So that's why it is 0 in cyclic process. Okay. So single G do not have any significance. That's why we are taking the delta G. Delta G, delta H minus T, delta S. So, when the value of delta G is negative, it means the reaction is spontaneous, right? But when the delta G is positive, then it is considered as non-spontaneous reactions. And when delta G is 0, then it is considered as the equilibrium reactions. Now this is the equilibrium reactions. Okay. So there are certain cases which we have to study, so we will study that. So let's take first condition. In this we want delta G should be negative. So to get delta G negative, or to reaction for the reaction to be spontaneous, then delta H value should be negative, delta S value should be positive. So in this condition, it is 100% spontaneous reaction. So when the reaction is exothermic, or when the entropy is increasing, it means that this reaction is spontaneous reaction. But in the second case, when delta H is positive and delta S is negative, then our G will become positive. And when our G is positive, then it is considered as a non-spontaneous reaction. Okay, so now take third case. Now let's take third case. Let's see delta H negative and delta S also negative. So if we want reaction to be spontaneous, so G value should be negative. Okay. So for that we can write this as like this. T delta S. We can write this like this only. So our G should be less than this value. So let's consider equilibrium. So this is going to be negative. So let's see this. Okay, right. When delta enthalpy is divided by delta entropy, and when which temperature we are getting should be more than the temperature which we are given. So the temperature must be greater than this, so the reaction will be a spontaneous reaction. So in this condition, it will be spontaneous reaction. Okay. So like this is our condition. Third condition. Let's take one question. So, in this, okay. So let's take one question. In this is given that A will give 2B plus C. In this question, it is given that delta H is 30 kilojoule per mole and S is given as 30 joule divided by mole Kelvin. Okay. So in this question, they were asking that find the temperature which reaction is spontaneous. Reaction is spontaneous. Okay, so for this we know delta H divided by delta S, so we can calculate the temperature. So we will put the values here. 30 divided by 2 is going to be 2 is going to be 500. So at the 500 K, this reaction will be spontaneous. Thank you.